Okay, it looks like we are live. Adam, say hi.
Hello, everyone. How you doing today?
There you go. We're being personally responsible. What do you have to say about personal responsibility?
Personal responsibility is the new counterculture, baby. Pound that freaking like button.
There you go. Adam Meister in the house. We got to tell you, we just did a video shoot down in Montgomery County, in the heart of the high tax district area. But we went to some beautiful gardens, and we shot a video that Bree's going to do about a young lady, that the surfer lady who
passed away. Her name was Catherine Diaz.
You may have heard about her. She was down in that
El Salvador,
that surfing community that's embracing Bitcoin.
In the El Tunco Beach.
Yeah, they're the community that's trying to use Bitcoin for everything they do. And they're using Lightning, and I guess, what is that wallet they're using?
Strike,
yes. I guess. So anyway, she passed away. She was struck by lightning.
She was only 22.
22 years old. And so Bree's doing a video. They're going to do a fundraiser. They're trying to raise 10 Bitcoin to help fund future surfers there in that community. And so she's going to be releasing something. But anyway, make a long story short, we went down, we shot a video down there, and it went great. Nobody ran us off. We got great flowers in the background. It's like a botanical gardens, right? And we shot the whole thing there. And then, of course, we're on our way back, and one of those speed cameras with the flash, you know, those automatic cameras that slam you and send the ticket. So I'll be getting a little thing in the mail in a few weeks. So they're going to get their pound of flesh one way or the other.
No good deed goes unpunished here.
That's right. That's right. Okay, so Adam, before we want to talk about Bitcoin, but before we do that, Bree wants to ask you some questions about going all the way back to your childhood. How far back can you remember?
How far back can I remember? You want my earliest memories that just deal with life in general?
Yes. How far back?
Oh man, I can remember. I was thinking about this yesterday. You know, they're blurry things. This might have been brought on by a photo. I think I was like less than 2 years old, and I can kind of imagine looking into the refrigerator and seeing my parents sitting on the sofa. I remember. I can remember being in preschool when I was around 3 and looking at the concrete wall. But something that's really clear, when I was in kindergarten, I remember one of my siblings being born. So that's very vivid. That's very vivid.
Were you actually there when they were born?
No, I can remember my mom telling me she was pregnant. I can remember I was with my grandmother and my grandfather. My grandmother, who recently passed away, a blessed memory. We were at her house in Randallstown, and the phone rang, and my grandmother said, "You've got a new sibling," and another sibling and I went crazy. We started jumping on the sofa. We started running. We ran, woke up my grandfather. So we went at the hospital. But then I remember going to the hospital with my grandmother probably the next day to see my mom and see my mom sitting there with the baby and everything. So that I was in kindergarten then.
Okay, so we're going to dig into that, but we got Carlos in the house. He says, "Hello, Craig, Bree, and Adam. Great to see you all together." Okay, so Carlos, if you have any questions about Bitcoin, Carlos has not been supportive of Bitcoin, I'll have to tell you. So Carlos, if you got a chance here to talk to the BitcoinMeister, and maybe he can orange pill you. So Carlos in the house. All right, let's go back. Okay, so your siblings, you mentioned your siblings. So were they older than you at the time? Are they older?
Let's say that obviously the new one was younger. I'm not going to say that who else was with me. I kind of leave all that out in the I don't like to give exacts about the family, but there was definitely somebody else was definitely there with me at that time.
Okay. So if we were to ask you the exact specific location of all that, you wouldn't want to reveal that either.
No, I'll say. I mean, the memory was in was in Randallstown. My grandparents were still in Randallstown at that point, which is a suburb of Baltimore. Which my they had moved there when my mom started high school. Like many people in the Baltimore area, people left the city and moved to the suburbs, and then eventually they even left that suburb. Randallstown was a Jewish suburb at one point, but now it is not at all. There are like no Jewish people that live there.
So what area did they move to from Randallstown?
Oh, after Randallstown, my grandparents moved to they moved to Pikesville, to a condo where my grandmother lived for a long time. That's where she never moved again after that. My grandfather obviously died quite a few years ago in that condo, actually. But they lived in Randallstown for a while, and then they went to Pikesville, where everybody lives in Pikesville in a condo. And my grandmother lived in that condo. She didn't know she was going to live in that condo for so long. A lot of people plan their retirement out and everything, and they don't figure out that those years, the 93rd year, the 94th year, the 95th years of their lives. A lot of people. That's the beauty of the world that we're living in, this golden age. It's one lesson I learned from my grandmother, and one inspiration is that we already have life extension technologies here. People are living a lot longer than they even plan in retirement. I mean, she wasn't thinking about the 2020s when she moved from Randallstown to Pikesville, but it was something that she would eventually have to consider, amazingly enough.
Bree, make a note. I want to dig deeper into that life expectancy thing, because I just thought of some questions, but we want to get with the Kevin D has a comment here. What would be the best way to buy BTC for my son? He's 18 months. Should I buy, then gift to him, or buy in his name?
Don't worry about it in his name. There are no bank accounts or anything like that. You just buy it, and it's his. It's his. You put it wherever you put it on your Trezor. It's his Trezor. All right.
Now, you generally have links on your videos for things like the Trezor, and you generally include those in most of your broadcasts?
Yeah, you know what? But this is the thing. I think the guy's overcomplicating thing. I want to. Let's say I'm a dude and I'm gonna have a baby, like that sibling of mine. That was before Bitcoin, obviously. But let's say that sibling of mine is about to have a baby. Coincidentally enough, the story you've asked me, that sibling of mine is about to have a baby. So what that sibling should do is just go to Swan, go to Coinbase, buy the Bitcoin there, and then move it. And obviously the account. When you sign up for Swan or you sign up for Coinbase, you sign up for an account. You got to give your ID that you're Adam Meister sibling, and then you move it off of there immediately to your Trezor, to wherever private key you control. So it doesn't. At that point, it's not in anyone's name. It's not in anyone's name.
That's the beauty of Bitcoin. It's totally portable and can be moved from one wallet to the other. And whoever has that wallet and has control of that wallet or those keys or whatever, there's various ways to store Bitcoin. And you can go watch Adam and listen to Adam, and you'll learn a lot about all of this. But the bottom line is, it's a bearer instrument. That's probably the best way to look at it. Whoever has control of that Bitcoin, it's their Bitcoin. And so you want to deal with it as such. Okay, so we got another comment in here from John. Bree is worth more than 5,000 Bitcoin.
Wow.
Whoa,
Thank you.
There we go. All right. Okay, let's get back into it here. What's our next question for Adam?
So, yeah, we're asking, how was your high school? Like
high school days.
High school days.
How are my high school days? Oh, that's a great question. I by the way, you might hear a noise real quick here. I clicked on everybody. I retweeted out this for everyone that's on my Twitter.
Okay.
I'm TechBot on there, so I just want to see. This is live on YouTube, so I want to know where it was. It's not. People don't watch it on StreamYard; they're watching it live on YouTube, right?
That's correct.
Right.
Correct.
And some of you are watching this taped on my channel, Play the 2X, et cetera, et cetera. So, what were my high school days like? Well, the place I went to high school, it was in. I went to a nice private school. My parents, valued education so much. And that's definitely big in the Jewish community. People are always like, "Why are the Jewish people so smart?" I mean, they really care about education, and that was always I was it seems like I was born with that. Like I would have to go to the best school possible. I mean, that was always something that was ingrained in my head. So I started going to a certain good private school in Baltimore City at 6th grade. And so I was still in that same private school in 9th grade in high school. So I had established friends there. There were only 72 people in my class. So, everybody knew everything about everyone else. And so that was a little annoying after a while.
It makes it harder to get into trouble though, right?
But I mean, there were some kids, sadly enough, that were crushed by that. They were the geeks forever, and that was bad. And I wasn't bad to those people or anything like that. I wasn't the most popular person. I wasn't the athlete or anything like that. I was a unique beast. I had my friends, and we were very close in middle school and high school. And then I was happy to go off to college. I was really, because I wanted to, I didn't want everybody to know about every little personal thing that I'd ever done. But I remained very close with my high school friends for quite some time afterwards. Now everyone's got, most people have kids. And so it's not the same anymore. But you asked specifically about those days. And yeah, a little insider information there. That's I say be a unique beast. And elite. That's we're part of the elite. We made up that elite term back then. It evolved from high school. Some of the stuff are playing
a lot of it. Yeah, we've been digging deep and going into your old videos, and you've been consistent, if nothing else. So consistent. John has another comment here. He says, Craig, 1 Bitcoin or roast beef sub from Hoffman's Market. Choose wisely. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to go for the Bitcoin.
You can get the subs anytime.
Adam doesn't really.
That was a legit question in 2013. I mean, a Bitcoin costs the same as some of these gourmet food places where you could gorge your freaking self. You could take you and your whole. First of all, right now to go see. I'm in Nashville right now to see the hockey game. I couldn't believe it. It cost $110 for the ticket. So imagine if you're a guy, you got 3 kids and a wife. I mean, that's going to cost you $550 to get in there. Then the kids are begging you for food. I mean, you are just the costs are incredible. So probably a few years ago, the costs weren't that much different. And I mean, you're talking about, hey, should I go to the Predators game or should I buy a Bitcoin? And some people do not choose wisely.
You've been talking about this for years, and you've got a pinned tweet, which we'll show later. Make a note. I'm going to show his pinned tweet later. That talks about they should take the money instead of buying some $50,000 car or something. They should, and my goodness, if like Peter McCormick, I think recently bought some expensive car, with some of his Bitcoin or whatever. And some years from now, that's really going to be an expensive car.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So that's what that pinned video is. That's exactly what it's about. It's from September the 16th of 2014. It was right around when the Orioles had clinched the playoff berth. And I was just saying, instead of buying a $50,000 car, spend $10,000 on Bitcoin and see what happens, because the car is only going to be worth $10,000 in a few years. And indeed, it was right. And if you spent that much, if you bought 22 Bitcoin, then you'd be a big millionaire by now, way over. That's what it would have been back then. Spending $10,000 that day would have gotten you like 22.3 Bitcoin. I forgot what it is, but you'd be quite a millionaire at this point. And you could buy, your $50,000 car now if you wish. But this is so true. People bought socks with their Bitcoin back in the day, and those socks look like they're a lot of money right now. And it's about deferral of gratification. You don't need those socks right now. Trust me. You can wear an old pair of socks an extra year and spend the money you were going to buy on, at Urban Outfitters or whatever on socks on some Bitcoin.
Okay, so now we talked about high school. Mm-hmm. When did your partying started? Talk about your college years. You used to be a party animal. Tell the truth.
Oh yeah. Yes.
You're on the hot seat here, Adam. We want the truth.
This is a good question. So my parents do not drink at all. Uh-huh. Do not. My father has passed away of blessed memory, but my mom definitely never drank in her life. My dad probably a little, whatever, in high school or something, or in college or whatever, but he's not as growing up, they had no alcohol around. In fact, there was alcohol in this that was kind of like stored away. It was from their wedding still, and they never touched it. And then for my bar mitzvah, they used that again. the alcohol that was laying around, and then it just laid around again. I mean, and to this day, there is still alcohol laying around from their wedding. And my bar mitzvah,
liquor doesn't go bad. It doesn't go bad.
So that was always so. At the end of high school, in 12th grade, for prom, one of my friends had a brilliant idea that we were going to drink Zima, and that was the first time I really drank. Was at the end of 12th grade, and in that summer there was a little bit of partying, I guess. And then once I got to Washington University in St. Louis. St. Louis is a big drinking town. You're with all these kids who've been from all over. Every state was represented at WashU in St. Louis, and a lot of them were Midwestern kids who could just pound that beer button. My Lord. I mean, I can remember. So there was a lot. We had the beer bong, which was like this tube. You drank, you poured the beer down the tube, and all of a sudden, in 3 seconds, you drank a beer. I was thinking about that yesterday. I'm like, did that damage me in any way? And no regrets in life. It was fun, but it's possible that doing you're drinking all that alcohol when I was younger, and there could be permanent damage. I mean, that's personal responsibility. What I did is what I did. Is there my fingers are crossed that when you're 17, 18, 19, 20 years old, that your body heals fast.
And you never blame anybody else, right? For things like this. It's your decisions, right?
It was my decision as an ignorant kid. You think you're so smart. Oh, you got into WashU, you're the center of the world and everything. And that's not smart. It's not smart to be just drinking so much. No, I mean, again, it was fun. It was fun, and and I didn't.
Now, what about the clubs in Baltimore? I heard you used to shut some of those down.
Yeah, so that
dancing.
Look, see, we're digging it out here. We're digging it out.
Yeah, no. It's true. It's all true. So in college, I would go. I'd go to parties and stuff like that. But there was kind of like a social system there too. With the fraternities. I mean, I did all right. I definitely met some women there in college. That was good. That was good. That was better, much better in high school with the ladies in college. Much better.
So you were valuing your wealth with women then, huh?
Yeah, I was. But so I do want to before the Baltimore partying started. There was a time. So I graduated from WashU when I was 21 or whatever, and that's another thing. I started college when I was 17. My birthday is late, and so now. Even then, most people my age were still in 12th grade then. And there's something to be said about that. Starting college when you're 17, for a few months at least, I can look back on that and say, I can see why people want their kids to be 18 when they start. And just because they're a little bit more mature, especially boys, and you get into trouble, and it's just, I look back how immature I was, especially the beginning of that freshman year and everything. But so after college, I worked in New York, and I worked in San Francisco for a period of time, and in Silicon Valley for a period of time. And that is where I discovered that, and people are only discovering now what I discovered back then. Like, if I want to be in this internet thing, I can start my own business and work anywhere. Why not go to a cheap place like Baltimore, which I loved at the time, because I was from there.
So wait, back up. What did you do in Silicon Valley? You glossed over that real quick. What were
marketing? I did the marketing side for .coms. They in Silicon Valley, they were just hiring us. We played foosball. I mean, it was unbelievable. They just hired smart people. And
so you took advantage of the .com boom and all that.
Yeah, all that. I mean, I took it. I learned from those people. I really. In New York, they worked as hard. In New York, that was harder. It was harder work. In Silicon Valley, it was easier, and they paid us more. But I was young, and I had these opportunities. It was a good opportunity to live in Manhattan for a while.
Now, what year would that have been?
I'm not going to say the year, so people are going to figure out how old I am. That's another one of my secrets. But it was, whatever it was. Some people are really good at math and everything. Most people are horrible at math, and they won't be able to. They have no listening comprehension. They won't be able to figure out anything I just said. Even though, it's. I think I've given enough. I think I've given enough. If people are familiar with current events, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, but after when I moved back to Baltimore. So I was on the marketing side of it, at both places.
Okay.
I actually worked at 2 places in Silicon Valley and 1 place in Manhattan. And it was great to see how the work ethics and working with smart people, working with guys that had Harvard MBAs. The guy who had a Harvard MBA, he was impressive in certain ways, but in certain ways he wasn't. So
were you thrifty then? I mean, were you saving that money then?
Yes. Yeah, that was I knew to save them. Well, I had college debts to pay off. And the first thing I did when my salary doubled from Manhattan to Silicon Valley was I started paying everything off. I mean, I paid it off real fast. So that was thrifty. I didn't buy. I had the worst car in that parking lot in Palo Alto by far. I was like one of the few guys that had an American car even in that parking lot in Palo Alto, and I was proud of that because I was getting rid of that college debt. They had nice European cars, like everybody had, or Asian cars or whatever. I had a Chevy Cavalier, and I paid that thing. That I actually had a little loan on that thing too. I got it for a cheaper price because they gave you a loan. I remember my dad and I bought that thing at Anderson Chevrolet. Anyway, I bought that thing. I mean, it was there were some savings even then. I had bonds I had to cash in to get that Chevy Cavalier. I remember. But the point is, I was thrifty then. Yeah, I was. I did save then, and I took care of those debts. Something that I preached. I still preach. Don't be in debt. It's ridiculous. It just gets so much off your shoulders, and you're so free. And because I wasn't in debt, I was able to start my own little contactmeister.com business in Baltimore. And so that's when the partying started. That's where, it was reignited. In Silicon Valley and Manhattan, there wasn't much partying. I might have, drank at social gatherings that we had, but I wouldn't say that was partying. In Baltimore, it was, going to the auto bar. I became friends with the owner of the auto bar. I went to Club Charles.
So were you handling advertising for them?
It's very interesting you say that. I did a lot of free social media for the auto bar. I did not do no paid advertising or anything like that. But that helped me make friends with them, and always spreading the word on social media for certain DJs at certain clubs would get you in for free. I mean, I was on many a guest list in my day in Baltimore, and I became like upset. Like I was cheap about. I was like, I'm not going to this thing unless I'm on the guest list. Like, I mean, I'm trying to save $5 here, $10 here, which over time that all became Bitcoin eventually.
Okay, so I guess we need to dig into that a little bit, because it was around 2013-ish that you started getting involved in Bitcoin. Is that where it dates from?
Yeah, I bought my first 2 in November of 2013, but I had heard about it probably around 2011. We had that in 2009 was the financial crisis. Mm-hmm. So I was back then. I was more of in terms of I was learning about alternative economic sites, and I read doom and gloom people like Doug Casey, who you can learn from. So I was on the doomer side of things. Like I thought Obama's going to become president, and the whole economy is going to fall apart, and we're going to go into a depression. And oh my! But I started so. With that unfortunate mentality, I did learn about Bitcoin, though. I stumbled because I was stumbling upon people that talked about Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. And eventually I did see, no, the world isn't falling apart. I might not agree with this guy's social policies or economic policies, but this country's still strong. People are still getting rich. Even during the Great Depression, a third of the people did real well. And I think this last year, we've seen how that's possible. During government-produced depressions, how still a third of the people can do real well. I mean, it was the best economic year of my life. But going back, 10 years to 2011, yeah, I was definitely finding about Bitcoin then, but I didn't get into it because it was nebulous and confusing, and you had to send money to Japan. But it was real.
What was your first reaction when you heard about Bitcoin? You remember?
Early on, it's just like the government doesn't control this money. That is awesome. That is what I thought was the best part. And I love the internet. It's internet money. So those are really two simple things.
I
So
tell you.
positive.
Go ahead, Bree. Yeah.
So you had a positive reaction to it. Like it wasn't like, oh, this is a scam, you know.
No. Yeah. Good point. Good point. Even though I was into these doom things, trying to blame everybody for everybody else's problem, no, it was a very positive response, and
that's good.
I was, I saw it was roller coastery, and even before I bought it, there was a little bit of regret. I remember that I hadn't bought it, but I was scared to buy it just because it seemed hard. And it was in 2013 when I made up my mind that I was going to buy it. I am going to buy it eventually. And when Coinbase came out and it started surging, I had FOMO, and I figured I got to buy it now. Yeah. That's why I bought it. I had FOMO when Coinbase came out and it started surging from 300 to 400 to 500 to 600. And I was like, oh my God, it was just 500 the other day and I missed that. I got to get it at 600 now. And I did get it at like whatever. It was like 636 or something like that. I got it.
Wow.
When I first heard about it, it was a Canadian gentleman who I played tennis with down in Florida. This was like 2011. And he was all gung-ho, and he was always listening to Max Kaiser.
Oh, Max Kaiser.
And so he was like pushing me. And my first reaction was, well, what's stopping anybody else from just making another one? You know, if it's just something somebody created and all, then why wouldn't somebody else just create another one, then another one, then another one? So I kind of dismissed it. And then he kept pushing me. And then I dismissed it because I said, okay, if this thing does take off, I think the government's going to shut it down, period. They're not going to stand for it. It's going to be competing with the US dollar, and they're just not going to let this fly, and they're going to shut it down. So I dismissed it again. And so it wasn't until probably, I don't know, it was 2016 sometime. I think it was like around $1,000 or something like that. And I finally realized that, hey, maybe this thing is going to be around. Maybe it's not going to be shut down. And maybe it's going to be the dominant one. And that I don't have to worry about, A, there being a whole bunch of them, because the whole bunch of them aren't going to be relevant. And B, it's not going to be shut down. And so that's when I started buying. And then I also started trying to trade, right? Because I say it's going all up and down. Okay, so I can try to time the market and get more Bitcoin, right? And then I have to credit you for settling me down to where I finally decided, okay, no, I'm not going to try to play these games and trade and so on. I was even trading in Ethereum and Litecoin and just playing around with all kinds of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so then I said, you convinced me that, hey, just forget all that stuff and just buy and hold Bitcoin. And then, of course, we did the interview with you, with my dad. Yeah. And he, of course, bought Bitcoin also. And so I have to credit you, because I think I would probably have less Bitcoin right now if I continued to trade. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure, but I probably would have less.
90% chance. 90% of them lose, really.
Yeah. So John says, ha, ha, ha. I don't know what he was laughing about. Let me pull that up again. We'll just show that. And then BitcoinMeister said, pound that like button.
Pound that like button, everybody, no matter where you're watching. Craig, you bring up a very interesting point about your history. One of the things you were worried about was that they can make more of these. Anyone can make one of these. There could be more of these cryptocurrencies, and that turned you off. I got to tell you, I figured that out pretty early on. I thought that was a good thing. I remember thinking to myself, like, oh, that's great. The more the merrier type of thing. I had no idea there was going to be all these tribes founded around altcoins and everything. So I was there for the beginning of altcoins. I remember when Litecoin was just a baby. I remember CoinMarketCap had like 20 coins listed on it, or something like that. So I took that as a positive back then. I still take it as a positive. The compete, don't complain.
Yeah.
If anyone can start one of these, and that there are a million others of them out there, that means that they're all shields for Bitcoin. They're shields for Bitcoin. If the government wants to make a statement, they can attack Ripple, and they are.
And here's the interesting point: is it's probably good that there are thousands and thousands of them, because then that totally dilutes all of them, and it makes Bitcoin being the powerful one, even more relevant, because there's all this noise, and then Bitcoin is standing out as a separate thing. And that's why when I saw Bill Maher's video, his attack on Bitcoin, and he lumps in Bitcoin with all the altcoins, and that was his first big mistake, right? I mean, he should have had them separate, right? He should have said Bitcoin and then have all the altcoins over here, right? But
that Bill Maher is even talking about it back when your grandfather, I'm thinking about my grandmother, when your father interviewed me. We couldn't have even dreamed of Bill Maher talking about it, that was just 4 years ago. That was just
you remember we were speculating as to whether or not Bitcoin would hit $5,000 in 2020.
Yeah, because it wasn't 3,000 yet. It was the summer. It was June or July.
You were wondering if it would double. It was $2,500, and you're wondering, wouldn't it be? I think you said something like, "Wouldn't it be amazing if Bitcoin hit 5,000 by 2020? It double the money, right?"
Yeah.
So wild times. Well, I'll tell you, I think that it just took time for me to realize that this thing has staying power and that it's going to be around. And I think that now I'm even more convinced that it's going to stay around, that they're not going to be able to shut it down. They being anybody that wants to attack it. I don't care if it's government or private industry or whoever. I just lump they into anyone that might want to attack Bitcoin. I think it's going to be around. And so my third concern was, could this thing be hacked? And I think that question has been answered. I mean, it's survived, gazillion attacks over the years and all kinds of FUD, as you would put it. So what do you see now as the risk factors for Bitcoin? If somebody actually wants to take a large percentage of and none of this is financial advice, just that little disclaimer, but if somebody wanted to take a large portion of their net worth and put it into Bitcoin, what do you see the real risk factors today?
Well, I don't think, I think what people have to get, it's not going to be hacked. The government, it can't shut it. It's unconfiscatable. It's uncensorable, and it's uninflatable. I mean, what people have to worry about is social attacks, and that cause turbulence and can cause you to be scared, because what's going on right now is they're going to say it's bad for the environment. They being the government, competing coins, just people who are bitter. The Bill Maher's, and by the way, I haven't watched that Bill Maher thing. I've only heard about it now, but I guess it's gonna be in my face. But again, I have a positive spin on it. I have a positive spin on everything that he's even talking about is great. But people, it's so clear that it's going to boil the oceans. It uses up too much energy. We need to. So perhaps people say, well, one thing they're going to say is Ethereum doesn't do this because eventually Ethereum is going to be proof of stake. So they're going to say buy Ethereum, or someone might fork off Bitcoin and say it's this is environmentally friendly Bitcoin. So this is the real Bitcoin. But in the end of the day, all of it will fail. All of it will fail. But people have to be ready. And then the other thing that it's unpatriotic. Bitcoin is unpatriotic. It helps the Chinese. They're going to twist it around, even though it hurts the Chinese yuan more than it hurts the dollar. The Chinese yuan is totally centrally controlled. They keep power over their people with that thing. They're going to make it totally digital. So if they have an off-ramp onto something else, that weakens Chinese authoritarian control over their people. We don't live, thank God, under an authoritarian regime in the United States that controls every aspect of our life like they do in China.
We're headed that direction.
And yes, and it can be. We need to prevent that, but we have the Second Amendment, which is a big deterrent to all of this. People will wonder, why does Canada have these strict lockdowns and the United States doesn't? Well, I think that one reason is the Second Amendment. I mean, why can Australia make their people slaves all of a sudden and the United States cannot? And what's one big difference? What's one big difference?
Yeah, some states will stand up. I think that's the thing is the control freaks realize that at some point some states are going to just draw the line.
Yeah. They say, well, first of all, it's on certain issues in the United States. states have already, do things against what the federal government says. The federal government has certain rules about illegals, about people coming to the United States illegal, but there are sanctuary cities, sanctuary states. They refuse to enforce immigration law. Okay, that's their thing. So there will be, if it comes to it, there will be states that refuse to enforce other laws they deem to be illegal or unjust laws. So, but we haven't gotten there yet. There hasn't been a federal, the president hasn't said we have to have a national lockdown because he has no authority to do so. But you never know. But the states will just, there'll be some states that will just not go along. But going back to what we were talking about, Bitcoin and all of that, is that people will say that Bitcoin allows criminals to get around the precious laws of the United States, that money laundering is so horrible and it's funding the Chinese, or it's funding the Iranians, or it's funding this, that, and the other. So it's anti-American, and how could you be involved in this? You must be you're an insurrectionist if you like Bitcoin. So people have to be ready for that. Those type of threats. But fitting in is overrated, dudes. They can't do anything with that.
So really, I think what you're saying is that the biggest threat and issue that somebody has to think about is their own thinking and their own being distracted and weak hands and panic selling and in other words, you have to have the fortitude to make your investment and then stand by it.
Yes. And that there are many temptations. There are many scary things during the 4-year cycle. I mean, the other thing that's going to freak people out is that maybe some will buy today at whatever it is right now, 56,000 or whatever it is, and then it's going to go up to 100,000 or 120,000 or something like that, and they're going to think they're geniuses, and then there'll be a crash down to 60 again, and they'll sell. Like, people have to be ready for the other end of the roller coaster here too, and people have to be ready. There's so many people that know about Bitcoin now, so many more haters out there, that they will pile on. If there is another major crash, and there will be other crashes. There will be other crashes. Okay, I don't know what they're going to crash to, from where to what, but there's going to be days where it goes down by $10,000. Okay, and people just have to be really ready for that. And the media hype that will go in to supporting that narrative that it's dead now. You got to give up now. So those are the threats are social threats, basically.
Now, Kevin D says never sell. Okay, so this is interesting. This is a question I talked to you about in the interview back in the day when we had you on the hot seat, and you were actually here at the undisclosed location. Now you're at a remote undisclosed location. But I asked you the question then, and I'll ask you again. You travel around. You stay, I guess, in Airbnbs a lot and at various undisclosed locations, and you network with other Bitcoiners, and you're in motion, I guess is the best way to put it. How do you fund all this if you don't sell your Bitcoin? You've kind of you haven't really come right out and said it, but you pretty much said that you don't sell your Bitcoin, that you have a strong hand. You don't do things with your Bitcoin. No. So how do you fund this?
You save. That's what I've been doing for years. When I sold the houses in Baltimore, I still have some of that money in the bank. I still get paid in fiat for the podcast and for the YouTube and stuff. All right. Okay.
So you're very thrifty.
You're thrifty, but I mean, and one of it's planned out though. Like, I originally told people as an inspiration back in 2016, I am not touching this Bitcoin until 2020 at the earliest, after the 2020 halving. All right. But I still have enough money. I still have it figured out, spaced out in a way where I can still live a very comfortable lifestyle, traveling around the whole United States of America. Okay. With the cash I have and with the little bit of cash that's coming in from the YouTube and all that stuff. I mean, and until after the 2024 halving. And then people are like, oh, you're going to sell all your Bitcoin after 2024 halving? No. If I need to sell a little bit to live on or to get some nice things that I want, it'll be then. It'll be then. But
how do you travel? Like by car?
By any means necessary. Okay. So we just last year, when everyone's locked in their darn houses, I mean, I was supposed to, it started in March of last year, and I was supposed to go back to Baltimore for Passover, which was in March or April of last year. I forgot exactly when. I had already bought the ticket and everything like that, and then they say no. It's people. I was stuck in California basically. Everybody was freaked out, so I did not go home for Passover, but I did go back for June. I went back in June finally, but Southwest Airlines gave me the credit. The credit at that point was not worth one ticket, is worth 2 tickets because prices had dropped so much. So not only was my trip back home funded, but then a future trip was funded. Then I decided to rent a car from Baltimore, travel down to Asheville. At that time, and then I lived in Asheville for 3 months at that point. But what I'm trying to say here is that traveling was so cheap at this time. It cost me less than $100 just total for the gas, for the insurance, for the renting of the car, for everything. And it was so convenient, such a glorious road trip at my own leisure to get down there. Do you know now that how much it costs to rent a car? The cost have went through the roof. It is insane now. But you take advantage of when things are cheap. If you're scared, then you miss out on everything, and you end up paying double, triple the prices. But me, I was able to travel free on a plane for something. I was able to travel cheap down to Asheville because you constantly. I took advantage of this whole year. Everything was cheap. I made a deal with at first in that place in Asheville. I did it through Airbnb, and then after over a month. He's like, you want to stay longer? We did it off the platform. It saved me so much money just doing it through him like that because they were desperate to rent it. No one was traveling during this.
You got to pay attention to Adam. He's making moves, okay? Yeah. He's out there making moves. He's a smart guy. See, when you work smart, one of my first jobs at a car dealership, I was at a Honda dealership, and they had that XR7, that real desirable sports car or whatever the heck it was. And the top salesman there, he was selling like 20 cars a month. He was making good money and all. And he didn't seem to be working that hard, right? And I talked to him. I took him out. I bribed him with a lunch. I took him out to lunch, and I picked his brain and all. And he says, you got to work smart, not necessarily hard. And if you can work hard and smart, then you're going to probably even do better. But this is what you're learning from Adam, is he's making moves.
I know all these life hacks. They are life hacks. But the only way you implement a life hack is if you live a freaking life. Pound that like button. If you're locked up in your basement all day, you're not living a life. All right? People didn't live a life for a year. I'm living the grand life. People just say they think I'm living at terrible places. I was getting deal after deal, free airline. All this stuff. It's a world of abundance. If it's a world of abundance, if you can take advantage of it, if you can figure it out, if you think, use your freaking heads, people. And so it was a good adventure, good times had by all, and that's so people wonder that I just put it out there. There are opportunities. Take advantage of the opportunities. That's how you That's how you stretch out your bank account, man. That's how you stretch.
People get scared.
What have you learned from Adam? Just go over a few of the things you've learned from Adam.
Is to be responsible for your mistakes and just to be in motion, just to do whatever you need to do to live your life and to follow your dreams.
Yeah, do your thing. You are a unique beast, Bree. You're the dancing Bitcoin girl, all right? There was no one else doing that. And that's the thing with Bitcoin. There's so many opportunities. You don't have to be a tech person. I'm not a tech person. I came from the marketing background, and but anyone can get into this thing. Anyone can. We're just living in this in just this golden age where you can grab a little piece of or you can expand the pie, okay, of abundance that's out there. And you definitely expanded the pie. You do something that's completely different out there. And not everybody can do that either. Obviously, I couldn't go dance around and stuff and talk about. Well, actually, I can dance a little bit, but not. Like
I think you'd be pretty good. Absolutely. We're probably at some point when you're in the area, we should shoot a dance video of you.
Yeah, why not? I could show you. But you were going to ask me about me dancing at the clubs and everything. I would dance. I would
take
dance
some photos, videos. Yeah.
So you're going to be surprised what she's doing now. Well, maybe you won't be, but she's been contacted, of course, by a bunch of altcoiners.
Oh, I'm sure. Oh, yeah.
Right.
Wait. This is a great seg. She must be. I get contacted by all the time by people offering to offer me money to promote their ICO, to promote their new token, to promote their DeFi. So I can only imagine through Twitter, she probably gets 10 times what I get.
But I tell you what she's doing now, and I think it's genius. I really do. She's quoting them a pretty high price in Bitcoin. And then she will go ahead and do a video. She'll put paid promotion right on it. And her idea,
take the Bitcoin and just hold it.
And her idea is she's taking Bitcoin from an unsafe home, right, with altcoiners, and she's bringing it into her home and giving it a safe lifetime home. So she's taking the Bitcoin out of circulation from the altcoiners.
It's a service, I think.
Yeah,
what do you think?
A public service.
Well, this is what I'm going to say. I do not do the paid promotions or anything like that. It's good if you're going to do them, at least say that you're doing them, because there's plenty of people out there I can tell are doing them, but they don't say they do it. They just take the money, and it makes it, and then that's terrible. That's very bad. But you're going to get a lot of negative feedback. You will be attacked.
Yeah.
You will be called every name in the book. So just be prepared for that.
Absolutely. I think you should think about that, Adam, because it would be a public service.
No, I would never do. I remember I'm a wealthy man, so I don't need it. I don't need any of it. I would not.
I know, but think about those innocent Bitcoins that are floating around in the altcoin universe and how they need a safe home, right? They need somebody with a strong hand to hold them.
Well, if these
just food for thought.
No, I mean you're
billionaires are coming in, so they'll.
You're giving
buy and hold.
You're making it seem very palatable for Bree there. She's taking away Bitcoin from these Russian ICO people and putting it in a safe place. That's a way, but it's just it's definitely not my thing at all.
And I'll tell you what, she is stacking it up. She's stacking it up, and she's not just, and she's also getting donations. So just straight up.
All these dudes that want to go on dates with you or whatever, they think they're going on a date with you. They're sending you, I sent her 0.1 Bitcoin. She loves me or something. I don't know what the logic is.
And she tells him she doesn't have show your hand. She says, I don't have a ring on my finger.
She doesn't, of course, but she probably has a boyfriend though, but they don't think about that.
They don't think about that.
No. But I mean, I would. But anyway, you do. She does her thing. She's a unique beast. People, it's personal responsibility, dudes. If you guys send her Bitcoin, it's unrevocable. Remember, you can't just.
That's the key. She's got a one-way valve, right? It goes into her wallet, and that's it.
It's there.
Good. So you're not save it for your future. I mean it's commendable that you have a strong hand. That I can say. But dude, you're gonna once you do your first. I don't know what the video, who it will be for. Some of these are like exchanges that even come to me that want me to do it. So let's say you do it for one of these Chinese exchanges. I mean, you're going to get some blowback.
Oh, she's gotten some. She's done it, and she's gotten some. But she just tells them that she's given the Bitcoin a safe home, and that's just the way it is. And eventually, Adam, I'm convinced that eventually it's going to be very difficult to get your hands on Bitcoin in any way, shape, or form. I mean, it's going to be very difficult. And people are going to look back, let's say 15 years from now.
And regret
it. Right? Well, let's go out 25 years from now. Okay? It's going to be very difficult to get your hands on Bitcoin. That's my firm belief. Assuming things keep going on the trajectory that it's going, I think Bitcoin is going to be very difficult to get your hands on one whole Bitcoin.
There you go. One whole Bitcoin. There are always going to be people that are willing to send bits and pieces of a Bitcoin and everything, though. I just want to you're not saying that you're kind of implying that the smart people out there are going to be holding so much that only, trickles, no one's going to be ever, sending one Bitcoin to another. It'll be rare.
It flows from the weak to the strong hands. I'm convinced that's the flow of Bitcoin, and it is, and that's what's happening right now. That's why Bitcoin is going kind of sideways. It's flowing from the weak hands to the strong hands, And eventually, as the weak hands start running out of Bitcoin, the price has to go up. And I think that's when each ladder, when it takes the next rung up, I think that's another group of weak hands have run low on Bitcoin, and it's moving to the strong hands. So I think we're going to continue to see that for decades. And the strong hands are going to get stronger and stronger, and the weak hands are going to just lose their Bitcoin.
Yeah, indeed, that is the trajectory. But there will still be. That's the beautiful thing about Bitcoin. It could be subdivided into such small little parts. There'll still be plenty of it in terms of dollar value, or going from weak hands to strong hands. People spending it on the Lightning Network, et cetera, et cetera. It'll just be smaller bits of Bitcoin. I started my show. Well, it used to be called. It had another name at first. I think I renamed it in 2017, the One Bitcoin Show, because I knew one Bitcoin would be something of importance. People right now, when I make a TikTok video about it, they don't believe that I even own one Bitcoin. They think that's very difficult. That's $60,000. How does someone get a $60,000 coin? They don't understand that you could have gotten it for $300, $200, $600, plenty of them back in the day, and they don't believe that someone who just wears a T-shirt can own a Bitcoin.
Adam, there were rumors floating around back when I interviewed you, and when my dad interviewed you, there were rumors floating around that you had 800 Bitcoin. Now, you've never disclosed how many Bitcoin you have, but there were rumors that you had them in the hundreds.
No, I don't have 800. I don't have 800. That'd be great. That's a lot of Bitcoin, man. A lot of Bitcoin, but yeah. You gotta be careful about what you disclose and everything. But I got enough that I'm got a big smile on my face all the
time. You're doing okay.
Yeah, but that's another thing. I've always had a smile on my face too. Even I remember in art class in 4th grade. You went into old stories. The art teacher got angry at me once because I was smiling when she was getting angry at other people. But I was just, I just smiled all the time. I'm a happy kid, a happy camper. My parents did a good job raising a happy kid, providing a very happy environment and a creative environment. Lots of creative kids.
Let's see if we can play a little video clip of Adam here real quick. Let's play this.
So you can go to a site called Coinbase and just buy Bitcoin. And Bitcoin, right now, one Bitcoin costs $250, let's say. But you can get much less than a Bitcoin, 0.01 Bitcoin. You can spend $5 worth of Bitcoin. Get some Bitcoin. And I know a lot of you are saying, well, I don't have any money. You do have money. And Americans do not save enough. Americans don't plan enough. This is a little investment you can make that the average Joe can make. This is not the complexity of investing in a mutual fund. The complexity of investing in the stock market. This is just a simple little thing you can do that every man can get in on this. This is like getting in on an IPO, on the Yahoo IPO. Imagine if you got in on that way back in 1997 or whatever. This is your opportunity. Don't let people scare you away.
Well, there you go. What do you think, Adam? Is that?
I know that video. That's from 2015. That's from the spring of 2015. And I haven't changed at all. I haven't changed what I've said at all, and I was right then.
Not too late now. So, what advice would you give to somebody that's learning about Bitcoin for the first time? Because on my channel, I don't talk about Bitcoin that much. So, anybody that's going to watch this video down the road and all, they might not be Bitcoiners, whatever. They might not even have a clue. I'm still convinced a lot of people don't understand Bitcoin, and that video by Bill Maher illustrates that. He just said a lot of stupid things in there that make no sense. And so clearly there's a lot of people that just have no clue about Bitcoin. What would you say to them if some of them are saying, well, I've missed out, it's too late,
or newbies.
Okay, let's be rational about this. Obviously, in 2015, saying what I said then, I seemed like a freak of nature. Buy this Bitcoin thing. It cost $250. Yeah. Oh my, I can go take my family to the Oriole game or whatever. And no. And so I will say that we passed that stage, okay? But don't be we're not super early anymore because we have guys like Michael Saylor and corporations that are buying it. So it's clearly we're not in the 2015 stage anymore where it's like a pre-IPO. But my Lord, it's still early. when you have guys like Bill Maher who don't know the difference between Dogecoin and Bitcoin, okay? And so many people, just trying to speculate on Dogecoin. Think of it this way, dudes. It is a newfangled savings account. If you set up a savings account at Bank of America today, what interest rate are they going to give you? Like, I mean, was it 0.01%, 0.1%? It is ridiculous. So this is, I mean, again, we're not giving financial advice or anything like that. But your money in the dollars in the back, it's being printed away. $10 trillion of money's being printed up over the last year. Including the future proposals of the current government. I mean, at the very least, you have to say there's going to be some inflation. It's clear that we've had some. If you look at the lumber prices, it's already there, and people are giving all sorts of excuses. People have forgotten what savings is. I back then was just telling people save $250. If you save $250 that day, it's worth $56,000 now. Now, is it going to be as extreme as that? Is it going to be as extreme as that?
Yeah,
probably no. It's not going to be as extreme as that. But I mean, how about if it's worth 2x?
A really good point, though, that you were making is if people just spend money that they would normally kind of just waste. And just put that in Bitcoin. Then they're not losing anything, right? Just don't buy that latte or whatever.
Yeah, that's my point of bringing up savings over excess. You know what? Just for a couple days, instead of being excessive and living in this world, wasting money on all of this abundance, try to figure out how to get a few free things, and or just not care and just use that money on Bitcoin. That's how you dip your toe in, just getting rid of the excess in your life for a few days. And that's how you do it. And that is an excellent point I made there. Just living a thriftier lifestyle. You can still live, just the example of this past summer just shows that you can live a thriftier lifestyle, but still live a more exciting lifestyle than most of the people in the freaking country. Me, traveling around for cheap this summer was better, more exciting than what 99% of the people were doing out there. I have to
All right, so we got two more things. Life expectancy. I said we would bring that back up again, and I'll preface this by saying my sister, a year and a half older than me, she recently decided to retire early, and she had some Bitcoin. I actually had given her some Bitcoin, and she sold half of it. And so she already had weekends. But anyway, she did all her calculations based on fiat and based on the amount of money she's going to be getting from Social Security and the amount of money in fiat that she has in the bank. And she extrapolated out how long that money's going to last. And my thought was, and of course, an older sister isn't going to listen to you, right? She isn't going to listen to her younger brother, right? But my thought was, you got to be careful because you're projecting things out based on the current prices and based on fiat that you have that is going to be going down in value. And those things you're going to be buying, either rent or milk or whatever, eggs, those are going to be going up. So that's not a good equation. So people really need to think about saving in an instrument that is going to at least keep up with inflation, if not more than that. And they've got to figure they might live a lot longer than they're thinking they might live. Yes. So what pearls of wisdom do you have on that?
Well, you want to live a lot longer than you think you're going to live. So if you are healthy, if you have a healthy lifestyle and eat well, and just stay in physical motion, you will live longer, you will live healthier, and thus your medical cost for those next 30 years will go down. All right, so that's a good thing right there. But be prepared to live longer. Just be prepared to live longer and to live healthier, and thus your Social Security isn't going to cover any. Don't. If you think you've got enough Social Security and pensions from your private employer, I would value that stuff at zero, basically. I mean, and just figure it out. Figure out some other sources, and the best source is Bitcoin, I think. And then you'll have a really good safety net right there. If you just think worst case scenario, I'm going to live 10 years long, and it's a great thing to live 10 years longer than you plan, and that your Social Security is going to be worth nothing during those 10 years, then you won't be as tempted to sell your freaking Bitcoin, okay? Today for that fiat, definitely. You'll leave some more of it in the form of Bitcoin, and who knows? In a year, it might be already pretty obvious that you did the right thing. I mean, I can imagine people that were in your sister's scenario back in 2018, cashing out when Bitcoin was 3,000, and having all the when it was 4,000, let's say, and having all the calculations in their head. This is going to last me 30 more years, and my pension from whatever company, and my pension from the United States, my Social Security, and then a year later, like, oh my God, if only I would have kept so much more. I could have lived such a better lifestyle for these next 30 years, but I've don't lock yourself into a fiat future. And that's what some people are going to do when they totally cash out on Bitcoin. It locks you into a fiat future, and it doesn't give you any escape. Bitcoin gives you an amazing escape mechanism if it keeps on doing what it's doing. If it's worth double in a year or two, I mean, you're living a much better lifestyle for the rest of your life. So it is something that is definitely keeping up with inflation. There is no doubt about that. At the very least, it's been doing a great job of that.
Let's see if we can see your pinned tweet here. Let me see if I can do this. This is a technical thing here. Let's take a shot.
There we go. There it is.
And let me see if I can play it. Let me see if I can play it.
I think you gotta go.
I gotta go here.
Yeah.
Hold on. Yeah, I gotta play it. Is it playing?
Oh, you gotta.
Oh, unmute. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let me go back here.
And scroll it a bit so it's in the center of the screen.
And
yeah.
I know a lot of you like to waste money on crazy things.
So it's not.
It's not.
I think it's over there.
Well, do this instead of
Where
buying
that blue screen is.
Here, you do it, Bree.
And invest $10,000 in Bitcoin. Oh, wow! Wait a
Stop
second.
that.
Bitcoin could.
Okay.
Okay, so
Go
try
over here.
We got technical difficulties here. Okay, there we go. Now go back to StreamYard.
In a few years, it's going to be worth.
Okay.
Control.
It's worth it, people. It's a good one. He'll play it. There you go.
It's a currency that no government controls. And I know a lot of you like to waste money on crazy things, buy a $50,000 car. Well, do this. Instead of buying a $50,000 car, get a $25,000 car and invest $10,000 in Bitcoin. Oh, wow, wait a second. Bitcoin could go to zero, couldn't it? Right now it's around $420 for one Bitcoin. But guess what? If you get a car for $50,000 in a few years, it's going to be worth $10,000. So you're going to lose the money anyway. Okay? So the Bitcoin is an upside. Sure, the $10,000 you invest in Bitcoin could be worth zero, but also it'll be worth $100,000. You don't know. Into Bitcoin, which is related to all these.
Is that it?
Yeah, there you go. That's it.
Now, all right, hold on. Let me here, Bree, you do it. You're better at this than me.
Or it could be worth $1 million.
Money on crazy things,
it's still going.
Pause it. Yeah, pause it.
Yeah, pause it. Yeah, get rid of it.
It was
ridiculous. So I said it could be worth 100,000. All that bit. 23.8 Bitcoin is worth more than $1 million right now. So that was a fun prediction. I needed a haircut that day. I got one soon after, no doubt. But
we're going to talk about your wild hair. But can we give him a tip? Can we let a little bit of the cat out of the bag, or we shouldn't?
A little, yeah. I mean, if you're okay with that.
She's working on a video.
Oh yes, music video.
I heard rumors that you were going to do a dedication video or whatever, an Adam Meister themed video.
A Bitcoin,
wow, that was fast.
Bitcoin VIP. There's only going to be 21. You know that, right?
Yeah, I can't wait for the surprise. I really appreciate.
The way she came up with this, and I think it's genius. I mean, Bree she sits and thinks about these things and plans these things, right? And she said, okay, I turned 21 in 2021. And so I'm going to limit the Bitcoin VIP videos to 21 because there's 21 million Bitcoin. And I thought that was genius. I mean, she's now, these Bitcoin VIP videos are going to be limited just like Bitcoin itself. And so
It's gonna
that
be
will make
21
them
million.
more desirable going forward. 10 years from now, when people look back at these Bitcoin VIP videos, there's only 21.
Dude, I like it, and I didn't know she was she turned 21 this year, or is that?
Yes.
I mean, it's her personal business, and you never ask a lady her age. Well, now I'm not gonna. I'll remember that for forever, because you're born in 2000. That's pretty impressive.
Actually, 1999.
Wait a second. If you're born in 1999, then you.
Well,
My birthday is on December.
It was in December. So
you turned. Okay.
So she is 21.
You are 21. Okay. Hey, I thought you said you were turning 21.
No,
Okay.
She is 21, and there's 21 million Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And it's 2021. And so that's when, in 2021 was when she decided to limit the number. She hadn't decided that, and because she had just done a series. How many have you done so far?
Well, 16, but I mean, I've gotten a few more big music videos in the working, so that's going to be like
I'll tell
19 or something.
We got to tell them the one that you're going to release fairly soon.
Sure.
Tell them about the young lady that you did one about.
Well, Catherine? No,
not Catherine. The other
Stacy.
one. Stacy Herbert.
Max's wife.
Yeah.
So that one, and she's already done that one, and she's waiting to release it. She hasn't released it yet, but it is amazing. She did a fantastic job on that one, and like she started putting in little video clips in the videos of the subject person, and she got a great video clip where she talked about Ethereum. She compared Ethereum to Bitcoin. It's pretty hilarious. But anyway, all right. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It's better to have you here in person, but this is the next best thing.
Yeah, I want to say I want to say thank you for a good idea, making them scarce, only 21, and you're jumping on that number, and it's an honor to be one of the 21 in the future if you add me to it. You're saying there's only going to be 21 of them, so that's great. And it's all about scarcity here in Bitcoin land. So
definitely.
Yeah.
Well, and these VIPs, the ones that she's done videos about, they've all been pivotal individuals. They've been individuals that had something really significant that they did to help Bitcoin in some way, some
contribution.
And the funny one that she did about Peter Schiff, right? That one was like,
he still promotes all
Bitcoin. The years, showing all the statements he's made over the years where he's been so wrong about Bitcoin. Don't buy it; it's $1. It's going to zero. Don't buy it; it's $30. It's going down. And so she made that video, just the chronology of all those things, and it's like so wrong, right? And so even just something like that brings to light the education issue, where people just don't know yet. That shows you it's so early. And Bill Maher, right? It's another example. That just shows you how early it is.
In schools, they don't teach anything about Bitcoin at all. Like, I've never heard about Bitcoin until they
didn't teach her about finance.
I don't know.
Of course not. Of course. I mean, that's going down the tubes. What they teach in the schools. But one day there will be competitive schools out there that have classes about this. It's a shame that no school teaches economics anymore.
Yeah, public schools, private schools, they all should teach about it. It's pretty important.
Well, that's the thing. You get what you paid for. The public schools are free, so you get free nonsense. It's not exactly free. We pay for it. I pay for other kids to go to public school. So Craig and I, we don't have kids, but we're paying for everybody else's kids to get
even
anti-educated. But there are some private schools out there.
We're paying for their college now too. That's the latest thing.
We're worthless community college, just for 13th and 14th grade. I mean, that's what community college originally was like 13th and 14th grade, and that's really what it still is. And we're not going to get into it, but private schools, I'm sure there are definitely some that mine. We learned a little bit about economics in 12th grade. I do. There was a microeconomics class. I remember that. But I'm sure now there'll be ones that incorporate the Bitcoin and more economic subjects, and people will just have to make their own choices. Be a unique beast out there. There's an opportunity out there for homeschooling with Bitcoin online classes. Who knows? There's an idea. But Bree and Craig, you guys are definitely in motion doing your creative stuff. And yeah, to be one of the 21, it's a privilege. It's not.
Well, thank you again.
Thank you so much
for coming on. And Adam, you find him at disruptmeister.com. It's been on the screen the whole time. Disruptmeister.com. That's going to go to his YouTube channel. Watch his YouTube, subscribe, and click the bell so that you get notifications. Because let me tell you, folks, if you start listening to this guy, your life will be better. It's as simple as that. It's going to be, I don't care who you are, you're going to learn from this guy and your life will improve. Don't let it be so long until the next time we talk. And next time you're in town, even if we have to rendezvous somewhere or whatever we have to do, we need to do something in person.
Yeah, we will see each other again. No doubt about it. Keep it positive, people. That's one of the, Craig, your life will be better if you watch Adam Meister. Your life will be more positive. And if your life is more positive, yes, your life is better. I really try to keep everything 100% positive, and that gets you in motion. That wakes you up in the, you want to live your life. Life is precious. And you want to just take full advantage of it.
It's even more limited than Bitcoin.
Yeah, it is. That's a good way of looking at it. Keep it in mind. But hey, if you get enough Bitcoin, perhaps you'll be able to extend it to 200 years. That's what I'm hoping, baby. That's what I'm hoping.
You'll do it. You'll do it, Adam. You're young enough to live forever. That's the old saying. You're young enough to live forever.
Well, I'm trying, baby.
Thanks again, and we will wrap it. Is that all you have, Bree? We're going to wrap it up?
Yes, we're going to wrap it up.
And you find Bree at BriFitDance.com. BriFitDance.com is where you find her. And so I'm going to click the little end button here